Okay, teammates, so we are using our understanding of rational numbers on both horizontal and vertical number lines to interact with all four quadrants of the coordinate plane. So we are provided with a coordinate plane and then four corresponding questions. So number one says, what coordinate pair describes the location of point P? Okay, so it's talking about point P, which is up here on the coordinate plane. So if a question asks me a coordinate pair, that means I'm looking for the x coordinate and then the y coordinate. Remember, the x coordinate is where I'm going along the x-axis, so how far I'm running. The y coordinate is going to be how far up I go or how far I jump. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm looking for point P. So first I'm going to go over. I go over to -3. So I have -3, comma, and then so I ran 3, and then I'm jumping up to 4. Okay, so where they meet is where point P is. So I ran 3 to the left of 0, and then I jumped 4 above 0. Now the next question asks me, graph each point on the coordinate plane. So I am provided with the ordered pair, or the coordinate pair, and then I need to plot them. So A is at +1, +3. So I'm going to go over 1 and up 3. So that is A. Point B is at -3, +2. So -3, +2. That is B. Point C is at -4, -4. So I go over 4 to the left and then down 4. That is C. D is at -5, 0. So it's right on the x-axis because I'm not jumping anywhere. And then E is at 0, so I'm running nowhere, but then I jump to +3. Okay, so now number 3 is asking in which quadrant is point A, point B, and point C. So remember, when I'm looking at a coordinate plane and I want to label my quadrants, I start with quadrant 1, which is all positive ordered pairs. So that's quadrant 1. And then I'm moving counterclockwise. This is quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Remember, we're using Roman numerals to label our quadrants. So point A is right here. So that is in quadrant 1. Point B is right here. So that is quadrant 2. Whoops. And then point C is right here. That is in quadrant 3. And lastly, number 4 says, on the coordinate grid above, plot and label each point below. One thing I noticed that is different than A through E are these ordered pairs have fractions. So I look at my coordinate plane and I see that all of the numbers are whole numbers, so I know I will most likely be plotting in between numbers on the coordinate plane, and that is okay. I'm going to use my understanding of the number line and where numbers lie on the number line to help me do this. I'm going to erase the rest of what is on the grid so we can see exactly what we're looking at. So point F is -2 1/2 and -5. So that means I'm going to go to the left of 0 on the x-axis, 2 spaces, and then I'm going to be halfway between 2 and 3. So remember the scale that I'm looking at here, I can only see counting by 2s. So I need to be careful that I'm not going to where 3 would be, which is right here. I need to only go halfway in between this blue line and -2. So -2 1/2 and then -5. It's going to be about here. Okay, so that's F. G is at +1 1/2, -2 1/2. So I'm going to go over on the x-axis 1 1/2 spaces. So I'm going to be halfway in between 1 and 2. And then I'm going to go down 2 1/2. So about right, whoops, there. Okay, so that is G. And then H is at -3 3/4, so I'm going left on the number line or the x-axis. So -3 3/4, so almost to -4, and then up 4. So it's going to be very close to point P, right there. All right, teammates. So this last example, we are going to use our understanding of cardinal directions. So north, south, east, and west, or never eat soggy waffles, and our understanding of the coordinate plane. So looking at part A, it says, what are the coordinates of the library? So it's asking for the coordinates. It's asking what is the x value and what is the y value. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over. So I run before I jump. I go over on the x-axis and then up on the y-axis. So I'm looking at the library. This dot represents the library. So I see that it lines up right here and right here. So then I need to look closer and see what those specific coordinates are. I see that it lines up on the x-axis in between 6 and 7. I see that on the y-axis it lines up between 5 and 6. Whoops. And Ms. Bryce keeps just writing on 6. Okay, so that means if I'm halfway between 6 and 7, I'm going to write this as a fraction. You may also write it as a decimal. So my x value is 6 1/2. And then my y value is halfway between 5 and 6, so it is 5 1/2. Part B says the town just built a new city hall building and it is located at -3 1/2, -1. Plot and label a point for the location of City Hall. So if I see that my x coordinate is a negative rational number, I'm going to go left on the x-axis. So I'm going to go over to 3. So if I'm at -3 and I need to go to -3 1/2, I'm going to be halfway between -3 and -4. So about right there. And then I need to go down 1 because the y coordinate is -1. So right there. Okay, and I need to label it, so I'm going to label it CH. That's our City Hall building. All right, part C. After school, you ride your scooter 1 block south and then 3.5 blocks west to go home. Okay, so first I need to locate the school. So the school is at -8.5, +1. So I see the school, and it says that you are going to ride your scooter 1 block south. So if I'm following my cardinal directions, south is telling me to go down on the y-axis. So if I know that the school is at -8.5, +1, and it tells me to go 1 block south, I am now going to be on the x-axis. Right there. And then it says that I'm going to go west. If I'm going west, I'm going further to the left, and I'm going to go 3.5 blocks. So if I'm at -8.5, then I'm going to go to -9.5, -10.5, -11.5, and another half block will put me at -12, which unfortunately goes off of this grid. So what are the coordinates of my home? So we already said my x value we went south once, so I am at -8.5. Or I'm sorry, I'm at 0. I'm at 0 because I am on the x-axis. See, guys, even Miss Bryce needs to refresh her memory on some stuff. Okay, so since we went down 1 block, that means I am now at the x-axis, so my x value is 0. And then I went over 3.5 blocks, so I went from -8.5 to -9.5 to -10.5 to -11.5, and then that half block put me at -12. And lastly, which building is in the 4th quadrant? So remember, we have 1, 2, 3, and this is quadrant 4. What do you notice about the signs of each coordinate? Okay, so I know that if I'm going to the right on the x-axis, that is going to be a positive x value. But since all of the values for y are going down on the y-axis, they are all negative. So every single ordered pair or coordinate pair in quadrant 4 has a positive x value and a negative y value.